Hello and welcome to today's episode of Simple Business Dream Life with me, Emma Hine. I want to start by asking you something. When did you last have a really good month? And I mean a proper good month. The kind where the clients are coming in, the sales are happening, the numbers are looking amazing, and you're actually allowing yourself to feel it for a minute. Got one in your head? Great. Now I want you to tell me this. Do you actually know why it happened? And I don't mean the generic, I was more visible, I put myself out there more. I mean specifically, what did you do? What did you focus on? What did you say no to? What was different about that month compared to the ones either side of it? Most business owners have brilliant months, but very few of them actually understood what created that month. And that is the gap. That space between having a good month and understanding why you had that good month, that's where the peaks and troughs live, right there in that gap. And today, that's what we're going to be talking about. So I want to start with what happens straight after you've had this amazing month. That pressure to make the business work, to get the sales coming in, to sign those new clients, that drops. And when that pressure drops, the urgency drops with it. And before you know it, you're doing slightly less of the things that created this amazing month without you even realizing it. The follow ups that don't quite happen, the content that gets a bit more sporadic, the sales conversations you're not quite as proactive about. Not because you're lazy, you absolutely are not lazy, but because the fear that drives the hustle that drove that good month isn't there anymore. You had a good month. You're okay. And okay feels safe enough to ease off slightly, to take your foot off the pedal. And then 6 weeks later, you're sat staring at a quiet month thinking, what on earth happened? How did I go from that amazing month to being here back in the trenches? Nothing happened. You just stopped doing the thing that was working because the result that thing gave you made you feel safe enough to stop. I ran an e-commerce business for years, and every single year without fail, the same thing happened. We had an enormous pre-Christmas spike. Revenue in 6 weeks prior to Christmas often exceeded everything we'd made in the 6 months prior combined. And every January, which actually was another huge month for us, people spending Christmas money, buying the things that they never got left under the Christmas tree. But every January, we were short on stock. Every single year without fail, even though we knew it was going to happen. Because the Christmas spike made us feel like we'd done enough. We hadn't planned for what was to come next. And because of that, we lost tens of thousands of pounds in sales we couldn't fulfill purely because we'd coasted on the feeling of a brilliant month instead of preparing for the month that followed it. The amazing 6 week spike and the planning we had to do to get it blinded us to what was coming every single year. So here's a question I want you to sit with. Was it actually safe to stop? Or did you just stop because you were exhausted? Because the diary got too full? Because the launch took everything you had and there was nothing left to maintain that momentum afterwards? Because those are very different things. And knowing which one it is, that's everything. If you stopped because you were exhausted and your diary was rammed full and the last month took absolutely everything you had, that's a completely different conversation. Your best month might have been too much, too many clients, too many moving parts, too much of you required to hold it all together. And your business is telling you something important there. Not that you need to do more, that you need to build it differently so that good month doesn't cost you the next month. So here's the first thing that I want you to do. I want you to go back to that amazing month. And I want you to get really specific about what created it. Write it down. What did you do? What did you focus on? And I also want you to be honest about what it actually cost you, because understanding that is the starting point for everything else. Okay, Let's talk about what else happens after an amazing month. The brain kicks in, things are working. So naturally, you're going to start thinking, let's imagine how much better it would be if I just added this thing as well. So you add something, and then you add something else, and something else. And the thing that was actually working suddenly becomes buried under a pile of new ideas, new offers, new strategies, all pulling your attention in different directions. And I get it, because when things are going well, it feels like exactly the right time to invest, to expand, to grow. But often at that stage, it's just noise dressed up as opportunity. You have a brilliant month, and suddenly you're investing in something you don't really need. Not right now, anyway. A new tool, a new course, a new system. Your business doesn't actually need it right now, but you can, so you do. The good months gave you the money and the confidence, so it felt like the right time. So you spend it on something that pulls your focus away from the thing that was actually working, and that's the problem. You decide to launch something new. After all, you've clearly cracked this process. If this one thing sold really well, surely something else will too. So instead of doubling down on that offer that just got you your best month, you create something new to run alongside it. And now you've got two things competing for your attention, two things competing for your energy, and competing for your audience's attention too. So neither of them is going to get the focus that they need to fly, to get you the growth that you want to get you that consistent income that you want to get. Instead of doubling down on the thing that really worked, you're spreading yourself across 6 things that are all getting a fraction of your energy. And none of them are working as well as the original thing did when it had all of your focus. That's what I call noise. And I've got 3 questions I'm going to share with you that will help you to understand if it's noise, and if it is, to enable you to cut straight through it. Number 1, is this making me money? Number 2, is this moving me towards my goal? And number 3, is this serving my clients? If the answer to all 3 of those questions is no, right there, that's noise and it needs to go. It's simple. 3 simple questions. It's not always easy, but it's simple. Because your best month probably happened because something was focused and clear. One message landing with the right people, one offer that solved a real problem, one reason for someone to say yes without confusion. And the minute you surround that with noise, you're diluting it. You make it harder for the right person to see it. You make it harder for yourself to show up consistently. And the consistent income that was starting to build quietly disappears under the weight of everything you've just added on top of it. Your best month wasn't a signal to add more. It was a signal to protect what's already working. And then there's this one. After your best month, that number, that becomes the measure. The thing every single month then gets compared to. And every month that you don't hit that same figure, it feels like failure, even if what you hit is perfectly solid. So you spend the next 3 months trying to recreate it, doing whatever created it again. Another launch, another push, another big visibility drive. And it works. You have another good month. And then it drops off again, and you push again. And it goes on and on. And at some point, usually when you're exhausted and the last push didn't quite land the way you needed it to, you hit a wall. And then the story starts to come into your head is, that's my ceiling. I've tried everything. I can't seem to get past that point. Maybe this is just as good as it gets. And in your head, you start to have conversations along the lines of, that nearly killed me. I can't keep up that pace. Was it even me, or was it just luck? Maybe it's easy to just stay where I am, because another launch like that one, I genuinely don't think I've got it in me. That conversation that's going on in your head, that's not the truth about your business. That's what exhaustion looks like when it's dressed up as a strategy. So I'm going to be really honest with you about what's going on here. That is not your ceiling. It's what's happening when you've been recreating a push instead of building a structure. You've been adding noise instead of protecting what works. And you're exhausted because the pace required to keep spiking the income is completely unsustainable. Exhausted people make fear-based decisions. They pivot when they should persist. They add when they should cut. They assume it's their ceiling when actually they just need to build a floor. So what is building a floor? I'm going to talk you through that. You need to start by going back to that question I asked you right at the beginning of this episode. What specifically created your best months? And then I want you to ask yourself if that is repeatable without a big push, or does it require a spike of energy every single time? Because if it requires a spike of energy every time, it's not a business model. It's a launch cycle. And launch cycles that you have to run constantly are exhausting. They're not designed to create consistent income on their own. They're designed to give you spikes above your floor. The floor gets built when you take the thing that works and you make it work without you having to manually drive it every single time. When the right people can find you, when they understand what you do, and they can say yes without needing a launch to prompt them. When your offers are connected in a way that creates natural progression rather than isolated transactions. Now, that's not an overnight fix, but it starts with understanding what's actually working. With cutting through the noise around it, remember those 3 questions and giving it the space and the consistency to build into something reliable. So here's the thing that I want you to take away from today's episode. Your best month, that is brilliant evidence. Evidence that you can do this, that people want what you offer, that what you do works. But evidence alone only helps you if you understand it. So this week, I want you to do one thing. I want you to go back to your best month. And I want you to get really specific about what created it. Ask yourself honestly whether you coasted after it, complicated it, or started chasing it. And then ask the question that changes everything. How do I make this the floor, not the ceiling? Because you are not at your ceiling. You're not even close to your ceiling. You're just still building the floor. And that is a completely different thing. Thank you for listening. I will see you next time.